What if I told you that some of the traits that you are being awarded for being a nurse are the very same traits that are making you feel disconnected from yourself? Nursing conditions you to be a very specific type of woman. And the crazy part is that we don't realize it while we're in it. Being a nurse doesn't just shape who you show up as in nursing, but it also shapes who you show up as in everyday life. The person who I became from practicing in the nursing profession wasn't actually the person that I wanted to be. So it took me leaving the nursing profession and a lot of healing to actually notice what was going on. So I want to share that with you in this video. But if you're new here, my name is Mel. I used to be terrified to walk away from nursing, but something in my heart and my soul knew that I was meant to do something else. So if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling stuck, like you need some clarity around burnout, your nursing career, you are exactly in the right place. So first, let's get into the type of nurse that your profession awards. The woman who people pleases, the woman who puts everybody else's needs, everybody else's concerns, everybody else's problems over her own. And I'm speaking from experience because this used to be me too. When I was in nursing, I was rewarded or praised or appreciated when I went the extra mile, when I went above and beyond, when I made sure I was pleasing my patients, my team members, the doctor. There's so many layers to you being a nurse, and it conditions you to be the overgiver, the over responsibility, the people pleasing, that independent woman who can figure things out on her own, the overachiever, the one who puts so much pressure on herself to get things right. Those very traits that nursing shapes you into, they start to show up in sneaky ways without you even realizing it, because you're so used to these patterns, you're so used to these parts. Even if you're not consciously aware of what's going on, it's taken over. It's autopilot. These personality traits, these qualities, they will follow you everywhere you go until you intentionally unlearn them, until you intentionally heal from them. Nursing in itself is a profession where you really can't afford to make many mistakes, especially if you're working in a hospital and you're dealing with people's lives. I remember when I used to be terrified to make a mistake, especially when I first started working as a nurse. And it just puts this pressure on you internally that makes you start to question yourself. It makes you start to question your judgment. It makes you start to question your decisions when it comes to not only your job and what you're doing at work, but also when it comes to your personal life. Because the more we do something, the more we practice something, the more we get into certain habits, personality traits, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at doing those things. So naturally, they bleed out into other areas of your life as well. Until you are aware of what's actually happening and the personality traits that nursing shaped you into, you won't be able to unlearn those things if there's something that you don't want to continue doing. I didn't want to keep being the overthinker or the one who was always putting herself under pressure or the one who's always trying to get something perfect. And there are there are upsides to having the overthinking and the perfectionism if you can switch it to your benefit. So if you're overthinking about the worst case scenarios and things like that, and your perfectionism is causing you to not move, it's causing you to not make the changes you know you need to make, then we got an issue. But if you can flip it and you can make yourself overthink or think about how much you can change your life, how much you can get out of burnout, how much you can get into a career or your next phase outside of nursing, if that's something that you want to do, and just frame it in a positive way. Okay, so that was a little tangent we went on, but we're going to bring it all back. Okay, so those traits definitely show up outside of work. So that tendency to people please, it shows up in small ways, medium ways, big ways, and a lot of times these tendencies are what's causing you to burn out. They're causing you to overgive. They're causing you to be overly responsible for other people's needs and other people's attitudes and opinions and expectations and what it is that they have going on, versus being able to really Just tap in and tune in with yourself, see how you're feeling, and to learn how to honor your own needs, your own desires, your own opinions, expectations, above all else, because it's your life for a reason, right? We are here to really get the most out of this life. This is what I believe. We were put here to use the things that we've gone through, the lessons and all of that, to just unlearn like all the BS that was placed on our plates and to allow like our souls to evolve into the version of ourselves who is always expanding and growing and healing. The very first part of the healing slash transformational journey is being aware of what's going on and the fact that you need to make some changes. So many nurses, they get stuck in these personality traits of like the people pleaser, the overgiver, the martyr, the perfectionist, and they allow this to keep them where they are. And that's when it gets really dangerous, because if you feel deep down that you want to do something else, you want to stop being burned out, you want to leave nursing, you want to feel more fulfilled or happier in life, you have to start doing things differently. There's this moment where you realize that all of the stuff that you picked up in nursing, all of the trauma, like all of the things, it's not really who you are. It's not really who you are. And for me, this didn't happen until after I walked away and after I really started healing, after I really started being intentional, unlearning a bunch of the stuff that I picked up. It wasn't until then that I noticed that the person I was underneath the burnout and underneath the version of myself that nursing shaped me into, I was a completely different person. I was so different because the nurse version of me used to numb her pain. She used to hold in her emotions or her tears. She used to have to like get everything right and have to be validated by everyone else. And when it came to like how she moved, and she was just a heavier version of me and a disconnected version of myself. That's how I would describe it. So when I see a lot of nurses talk about how they're unfulfilled, they're unhappy, like to me that's like the same boat of feeling disconnected from your true self. So once I really started like the healing and all that, I was able to like meet different parts of myself that some were buried, like I met before, but I got so distant from them from like my nursing career and from always being in burnout cycles and from putting everybody else first and putting me on the back burner. But some of them like I met for the first time. So there was this version of me that met me who was a rebel, who was unapologetic, who was the type of woman who would say the things that she needed to say, even if the person might not like it, or even if the person might take it the wrong way. Making sure not to like not say something just to manage somebody else's reactions or feelings or things like that. And I say things with love and care, but the thing gets said like it has to be said. So I became a version of me who stopped biting her tongue, who stopped holding everything in, who stopped taking on like this over responsibility. And like I said, recovering perfectionist. So even though like I still want to get things done a certain way, like I don't let that stop me from getting it done. I met this version of me who was just confident, fierce, unapologetic, rebellious, self-expressed, the playful, silly version of me who just yells and gets the zoomies and just have fun and just dances randomly in public or wherever I am.
Get it, girl. Hey, 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 hey. This no shit.
Like that version of me was able to be awakened after I left nursing and did my unlearning and my healing and my all the things, right? Because as a nurse, like I was numbing all that. Like I was so numbed out from my emotions and I was suppressing my like how I really felt because I was just holding so much due to like the burnout and the pain and feeling disconnected from myself. There really is a version of you now who goes through the burnout cycles, who feels disconnected from herself, who feels numb, who feels unfulfilled, and who feels unhappy. And then there is this version of you who's on the other side of that. There's this gap, though, in between the you that you are now and the version of you that you are truly meant to become, the version of yourself that would really fulfill you. And in order to get from the first version to the second version, or version A to version B, there's this bridge that you have to cross. And for me, that bridge was leaving nursing, because on the other side of that bridge, I was able to break down like all the different layers and uncover different things about myself as a result of taking that journey, as a result of taking that direction of leaving nursing, because I stripped away everything that I thought I was supposed to be doing. I stripped away that traditional career and I went into entrepreneurship. So essentially, like that nurse identity, I had to allow myself to shed that. And that came with some grief, which is normal. But I knew ultimately that the version of me on the other side of that, on the other side of the nurse identity, was the version of me that was pulling me forward. So I had to go. I had to answer the call. Like, even if it was painful, even if I had to learn a lot, I had to unlearn a lot. That was my bridge to get to the version of me that I am now. And there's a version of me in the future that there's another bridge that I'm going to have to go through to get to that. And it's just this never ending series of bridges that we have to pass through. But the beautiful thing about this is that our intuition literally guides us through that journey. So the thing that we truly feel meant to do, the thing we truly feel called to do, to become, to try, like if you're somebody who knows that you're meant for more outside of nursing, you've been feeling a pull, you've been feeling like you want to do something else, you're just not fulfilled, you're not passionate about this anymore, that's okay. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. So many people think that that means that it's something wrong with them, or they aren't as compassionate anymore, or they make it mean something bad about them or about their life. But there's nothing wrong with outgrowing your career. There's nothing wrong with outgrowing the version of yourself that you currently are, and listening to the call, answering that call, so that you can keep becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming the version of you that would make you truly fulfilled and happy in this lifetime, because that's what this is all about. There was a nurse, a hospice nurse, who did different interviews on people that were on their deathbeds. And one of the number one regrets from the dying, I'm sure you heard of this. You might have heard of this. You might not have if you didn't. One of the most common regrets from the dying was that they wished they had the courage to live a life that they actually wanted to live, and not the one that others expected of them. And we hear this a lot. Like, when people are on their deathbeds, there are so many things that they regret, or they wish they would have tried, or they wish they would have did. And I can't go out like I can't go out like that. And I don't want you to go out like that. That's why I'm speaking about this, because I really want you to learn that it's okay to go after the type of lifestyle that you want to go after. It's okay to go after the values that you want to go after. It's okay to want more out of life than the original path that you went down, or the original version of success that you thought you had to go after. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to switch it up. It's never too late to try something new. It's never too late. Even if it's been 10 years and you've been wanting to leave nursing, if you're somebody who's been wanting to leave nursing and you're just like, oh, I'm older now, or even if you've been only doing it for a year, that means nothing. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't have to prove your loyalty to the profession. You don't have to prove your loyalty to the career, to that past version of yourself that's trying to keep you where you are just because your mind loves what's familiar and it's going to choose what's familiar over this new thing that you want to try. It's going to choose what's familiar every single time. So you have to learn to really be loyal to that future version of yourself that's calling you forward, that's pulling you forward. That version of yourself that you would be so excited to wake up to, you know? Ooh, this was good. This is good. If this video resonates with you, first of all, make sure you like it, give it a thumbs up, share it with somebody else that you think will benefit, because I know I ain't the only one that feel this way. I've seen a lot of nurses talk about how they feel unfulfilled in nursing and how they feel like they need a way out, but they don't know what to do. Like, I used to be that nurse and I made it out on the other side. So I want to keep talking about this because it's possible to make it out on the other side. On the other side, it's possible to feel fulfilled in what you do. It's possible to wake up excited to start your day. It's possible to really learn to cultivate the happiness that you are craving. It's possible to do that. Okay. So I invite you to reflect on who nursing trained you to be. Maybe it's one of the things that I mentioned in this video, like the perfectionist or the martyr or the one who overgives, who people pleases, who tries to put everybody else first, the one who's overly responsible. Who are you really underneath the burnout? Who are you really underneath your nurse identity? Because that will give you so much freedom. It'll give you so much motivation to get to that version of yourself, because you really only get one life. Well, who knows what we get? Who knows? I believe that we get multiple lifetimes, but as this current version of yourself that you are now, I believe that we get one life to live. So it's really in our best interest to make sure it's a damn good life. Like, we need to make sure this life is lit. Okay, it is amazing. We're excited to wake up to it. We're excited to be expressed and to be these versions of ourselves, because time is going to go whether or not you decide to stay where you are. If you're in a place where you're not happy, or if you're in a place where you're not satisfied with your life, or if you decide to start taking steps towards where you really want to go, towards your interests, towards your curiosities, towards the things that light you up, towards your passions, time is going to keep moving regardless. It's going to keep moving regardless. So why not go towards the things that actually make you feel something? So many people are going through life not really feeling. And that was me. Like, I used to be the nurse who was numb. I said this to my mom the other day. Like, it used to be hard for me to cry. And I used to think something was wrong with me. And leaving nursing and reinventing my identity, like, that really allowed me to tap into the deepest parts of me that wanted to be expressed. And that journey is really what this is all about. It's really what this is all about, because if you're being accepted for a version of yourself that you aren't, or a version of yourself that you don't really accept, or a version of yourself that you don't really want to keep being, then what's the point of all of this? You know that quote that says, I'd rather be accepted for what I am than to be falsely accepted for what I'm not. Something like that. So the work is to start learning to accept yourself for where you are now, and learning to acknowledge where you want to be, and really taking the steps to get towards the version of yourself that you want to be. Stripping down those layers, healing through the burnout, and yeah, just allowing yourself to blossom, to become. Mic drop, mic drop. If you are being called to leave nursing, but you don't have the self-trust that you need yet to make that decision, and you want support building up that self-trust, building up that confidence, so that you can learn how to walk away from nursing, to start the thing that you really love, that you're really passionate about, in a way that really honors you, in a way that really puts the power back in your hands. And I invite you into my program. If that sounds like something that you need or that you've been praying for guidance on, the link for that is in the description below. Okay? Otherwise, if you just want to chill, you just want to hang out, make sure you subscribe and rewatch this video. Make sure you comment. Comment the answers to your questions in the comments if you feel called to. And I thank you so much for sharing your time with me. So, peace out, Cub Scout, as Myron Golden would say. Bye.